Hey YouTube, so in this short video I wanted to explain about the raw lighting feature that you have on the Vivo X300 Pro. Now this is similar for the 300 Pro and the 300 Ultra. I'm not sure if this feature is available for the previous version of the Vivo, like the X200 series. As far as I know, this is an update for the 300 series. So raw lighting basically is for when you want authentic, actual, real life like light effects. By light effects I mean there is this inherent problem with computational photography that it takes multiple photographs at various different exposures and merges them into your final result. And once that happens, there is a bit of an issue with that, and I'll explain about that right now. Now, what is raw lighting and what does it do? So raw lighting basically means that your lighting effects will look like how they look for you in real life. So for example, if you have taken a photograph of an incandescent bulb with a smartphone, the photograph, you'll be able to see the actual filament glowing in the photograph, but in real life you can't see it. It just looks way too bright for your eyes to catch. So what raw lighting does is it changes the image back to how it would look like for the human eye for objects that are illuminated by certain different types of lighting. So in this example that I'm trying to do, I'm trying to use raw lighting with a lighter, just so I can get the same effect of the flame light. And so you can see the difference between both the photographs here, one with raw lighting turned on and one with the raw lighting turned off. So that's basically what it does for the Vivo X300 series. Now, how you can use that depends upon your scenario, and in a short while I'll explain how or what type of scenario you can use this at. Now we'll look at a few photographs and we'll go through how the image looks like with raw lighting turned on and turned off. So for the first photograph here, it's a model car, a toy car basically, which I got from a fair, and to me it looks really cool, it looks really nice. But in this image the lighting is coming from a ring light which I'm using, which is in warm toned ring light which I'm using, and the image does look good. It is pretty sharp, and you can find out from which direction it's illuminated and everything. But the moment you shift the image to raw lighting, it looks, of course it's a bit more zoomed in, but the other thing is that it looks a lot more punchier, and the shadows look a lot darker, and the reflections on the surface of the car looks a lot more realistic. In fact, the details are a bit less since they've merged multiple photographs with different exposures, but it looks a bit better. So it does not work for every single situation. It only works for certain situations where lighting is bringing a change to how the image looks. So if you want to compose an image, and in the particular composition lighting isn't doing the best job, or your computational photography isn't able to capture the true vividness of the lighting, then in a situation like that you can surely use raw lighting. So for the next image we have a photograph of a lighter that I'm holding in my hand, a cigarette lighter that I'm holding in my hand, and I'm using the cigarette lighter's flame to show you how raw lighting would make a difference. So the first photograph is without raw lighting and the second photograph has raw lighting turned on. We'll move to the second photograph right now. So for the first photograph you can see that the flame is really visible. You can see the details on my palm, and you really can't feel the effect that the cigarette light flame is having, or how that's changing the colors around the cigarette light flame. And when you move to the second image, which is with raw lighting turned on, and of course in the second image the flame has caught up, it's substantially larger than in the first image because they were taken in succession to each other. And in the second image it's pretty clear what sort of a difference or what that illumination is changing in the photograph. And that's kind of what exactly you need raw lighting for, and that's kind of what raw lighting does in smartphone photography, or in photography with the Vivo X300 series. So this is something that I wanted to add into my camera guide series. Now we'll move to the third image. So now for the third image that I'm using, so like with any feature, it's not always sunshine and roses. There are issues with it. So in the third image, the first image, in the third comparison image, the first image is taken with raw lighting turned on, and the second image with raw lighting turned off. So what happens here is, with raw lighting turned on, this is the ring light that I was using. The entire ring light has been illuminated as one circular object, one continuous circular object, and the exposure control has completely gone off rails. So you can only see that, and the rest of the image is almost underexposed to the point that, you know, the exposure control, exactly what computational photography does, that is stacking of photographs with multiple exposures, that has turned off, and that has detrimentally affected this image here. And now when you go to the second image, this is how it looks to the human eye. The ring light, maybe the colors are a bit off, the color is a little colder than this, but still this is how it looks like to the human eye. Something to keep in mind when you use raw lighting: just like every single feature, it has its own drawbacks, and it's not always perfect. Nothing is perfect, but this isn't perfect too. So that's kind of how raw lighting works, and that's kind of how you can use it. Now I can go into my gallery and talk about in depth about the photographs that I'm taking, and how raw lighting can be used and cannot be used, but the video will be too long. So as part of my second video in the camera guide series, I just wanted to keep this pretty short. I hope you guys like the video, and if you want to support the work that I'm doing, please consider subscribing. That's the best way you can show support. And thank you guys for watching.